Emma Goldman was a political activist and writer that took part in many movements throughout her life, including the feminist movement, the labor movement, and played a pivotal role in the development of anarchist political philosophy in the West. Goldman's early life was very rough. Being born into a Jewish family in Kovno, Lithuania, on June 27th, 1869, Goldman's family faced many restrictions in regards to their mobility and economic activity. She faced a very difficult childhood, with her father being very violent and abusive and her mother struggling with depression. Being introduced to such violence and indecency at such a young age influenced Goldman's beliefs, leading her to reject all forms of oppression in society. As she grew older, Goldman was exposed to the growing revolutionary movement in Russia, which would also have an impact on her philosophies later in life. As she got older, Goldman's father attempted to arrange a marriage for her, but before he could do so, her and her sister fled to the US. While in the US and having her first experience working as a seamstress in a garment factory in Rochester, New York, Emma's political radicalism only grew with her experience as a laborer in the US. After seeing the long hours, unequal pay, and suppression of workers' rights, Goldman's disdain towards capitalism and the government grew much larger. After learning more about her early life, it seems reasonable as to why Goldman was so drawn towards the idea of anarchism, with her believing that human nature was inherently good and that people would naturally organize communities around common interests, with her defining the idea of anarchy much later in her book Anarchism and Other Essays by stating, "The philosophy of a new social order based on liberty, unrestricted by man-made law, the theory that all forms of government rest on violence, and are therefore wrong and harmful, as well as unnecessary." As her beliefs in anarchy and anti-establishment continued to grow, she and her newly found acquaintance Alexander Berkman would plot to assassinate an industrialist named Henry Clay Frick. Frick was a strong opponent against organized labor and was responsible for the Homestead Strike in July of 1892, which led to the deaths of 10 people and wounded 16 others. During their plot to assassinate Frick, Berkman proceeded to wait in Frick's office until he beat Frick near death and fled the scene. After failing to assassinate Frick, Berkman was sentenced to 22 years in prison, while Goldman was able to avoid punishment altogether due to the lack of evidence of her involvement. During this period of time, Goldman would go on to launch her own magazine named Mother Earth, where she would share articles on politics, anarchism, free love, birth control, and feminist ideologies. Emma's combination of anarchism and feminism made her philosophy very different than other reformers and thinkers of her era. She often criticized the feminist movement of the time, as she saw it as a movement that was rigidly confined to the social forces of capitalism. She believed that participation in politics was participation in a corrupt system that promoted inequality. To her, there is no guarantee that women could fix political corruption in the US. Emma also held some radical beliefs towards capitalism, with her writing in Anarchism and Other Essays. Real wealth consists in things of utility and beauty, in things that help to create strong, beautiful bodies and surroundings inspiring to live in. But if man is doomed to wind cotton around a spool or dig coal or build roads for 30 years of his life, there can be no talk of wealth. Emma also held some disdain towards the state, with her stating in Anarchism and Other Essays, "The state enslaved his spirit, dictating every phase of conduct. All government, in essence, says Emerson, is tyranny. It matters not whether it is government by divine right or majority rule. In every instance, its aim is the absolute subordination of the individual." Emma also held some pretty strong beliefs against religion. As she states in her book, Anarchism and Other Essays, "Religion, the dominion of the human mind. Property, the dominion of human needs. And government, the dominion of human conduct, represent the stronghold of man's enslavement and all the horrors it entails. Religion, how it dominates man's mind, how it humiliates and degrades his soul. God is everything, man is nothing, says religion. But out of that nothing, God has created a kingdom so despotic, so tyrannical, so cruel, so terribly exacting that naught but gloom and tears and blood have ruled the world since gods began. Anarchism rouses man to rebellion against this black monster. Break your mental fetters, says anarchism to man, For not until you think and judge for yourself will you get rid of the dominion of darkness, the greatest obstacle to all progress. From what I've learned about Emma Goldman's life and anarchism, I was surprised to see many of the parallels between feminist ideologies and anarchist ideologies in terms of providing fair and equal treatment for all people. Taking what we've learned from these anarchist and feminist ideologies, my hope is that we as a community can try to stay informed on current issues, gain a persistence to put an end to oppression for all people, and help provide a more enjoyable and fulfilled life for everyone by breaking down the confines of capitalism and the patriarchy.